Alright, taking a look at question 4 here. We want to list all the graphs that can be used to summarize qualitative data. This one's extremely difficult. I think the only one we have used is a pie chart. Although another one that we have not talked about is called a bar graph. It's kind of like a histogram, except you just use the categories instead of the box widths. And that would be it on that one. The next one, when we're deciding between using a standard deviation and IQR, some things we want to think about are actually the spread of, so both are measuring spread, and if you recall, if I look at, there's sort of two sets of measurements that go together. One would be the median and IQR. So this is a good measure of spread, and a good measure of center and a good measure of spread. And another set of measurements is the mean and standard deviation. And if I were to compare these two lists, what you may recall is that these two are more highly influenced by outliers. And I better move over here. More highly influenced by outliers. And that would lead us to the conclusion that although the mean and standard deviation are nice, if we're dealing with data that we know has many outliers in it, the mean and IQR are probably a better representation of the center and spread. And just to show you why that is, let me take a second and look at an example. Suppose we had the set of data, let's go with 5, 10, and 15. And that was set A. And suppose our set B was the same set, 5, 10, except that last number, instead of using 15, it had an outlier like 75. If I were to take a look at the means of these two sets, the mean of the first one would be 5 plus 10 plus 15 is 30, divided by 3 is 10. And the mean for the second would be 5 plus 75 is 80, plus 10 is 90, divided by 3 is 30. Notice how much larger that 30 is. And if I were to look at the median would be the middle, so it's just 10, and the median is still 10. And so we notice that in the second set, the outlier has really increased the size of the mean. And in the other one, the outlier had absolutely no effect. So between the mean and the median, the mean tends to be more highly influenced by outliers, and then because the standard deviation uses the mean, it is also highly influenced by outliers. Notice also that in both of these lists, the 10 is really probably more representative of the actual center, whereas this 30 is kind of in the middle and we have no data points even close to that. So that it would be a second reason that if there's outliers, the mean may not be a good representation of our data. So going back to the worksheet, we're going to look at question 6. Let me make sure it's in the frame here. 4 types of problems you encounter using a normal distribution to find percents, and this should have been a greater than. I'm not sure what happened. I guess I got really excited about the z and wrote an upside down exclamation point. The 4 types of problems we get when dealing with normal distributions ask us to find the percent of z's that are less than some number, say 1.5. Could I find that percent? So that would be the first type. The second type would ask us something like find the percent of z's greater than 1.5. So the main difference is the less than or greater than. The third type of problem would be find the percent of z's between two numbers, say 1.0 and 1.5. Could you find that piece? And then the last type that you could encounter on the test is find the z value so that the percent of z's less than this number is maybe 15%. And so in that problem we're given the percent and we need to find what z goes with that. Now there is actually a fifth type of question. You will not be expected to know this on the test, but in case you're wondering why this is left out, a fifth type of question would be find the z-value so that 15% of the z's are bigger than this number. So it's the same thing except a greater than. It's not much more difficult, but I am not going to put it on this exam. Alright, we'll continue on in the next video.